Hi, everybody. Actually, good morning, good afternoon, or perhaps even evening to some of you, because I know we have folks from around the globe joining us today. Welcome to today's web event. My name is Darlene Rondo, and I'm the Vice President, Best Practices for Leonardo's online merchandising group, and I'm going to be your host for today's special event. The goal of a B&B owner or innkeeper is to fill your rooms, and today's online travel shopper really doesn't make a move until checking in with the social community at large. And this includes Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and a variety of others. And that's why we're really excited to talk to you today about social storytelling methods that you can use to engage and convert travel seekers into guests. A few housekeeping items before we begin. First, we're going to be recording the webinar, and at the conclusion of today's session, we'll be sending you a thank you for joining us email with a link to that recording, which you can share or listen to again at your leisure. Additionally, you have a questions dialog box in your GoToMeeting panel. So as we move through our discussion today, please feel free to send in your questions, and we'll address them at the end of the presentation. We're also going to be tweeting during our discussion today, so please feel free to join in the conversation at #LeoWebinar. I'd like to introduce our special guest, Yvonne Howling. Yvonne turned her bed and breakfast hobby in France into a business, originally making less than 10,000 euro a year and transforming it into a six-figure professional B&B in less than 2 years without any third-party booking sites. She's won 3 hospitality awards and a coveted online marketing award, and is also the author of Bed and Breakfast Magic: How to Transform Your B&B into a Thriving Six-Figure Business. She also presents at industry events internationally, and Yvonne now helps small hospitality businesses worldwide make more money, work less, and have a whole lot more fun while still delighting their guests. She's created a one-of-a-kind online learning center where typically clients double and sometimes triple their businesses using Yvonne's proprietary 5-step system. Welcome, Yvonne. So good to have you here today.
Thanks, Darlene. I'm really excited to share my knowledge with you.
Excellent. Before Yvonne dives into her piece, I wanted to share some important points. And the first is, your presence on social is only becoming more and more important as the expectations of travelers rise. A study conducted by HubSpot found that consumers expect you to be on at least 3 social platforms. So it's important that you have the tools on hand to provide consistent and quality content on multiple channels. Being active isn't enough. People expect you to be there for them when they need you and provide support quickly. An Edison research study found that 42% expect a response in under an hour, 25% in the same day, and 9% within 5 minutes. And finally, selling something really shouldn't be the focus of your social content. People go there to be entertained, to learn something they don't already know, and to reinforce their decision. So with that foundational information, I'd like to reintroduce Yvonne, who is going to take us through the presentation from the eyes of a renowned bed and breakfast coach, as well as a owner of a B&B. Yvonne, over to you.
Thanks, Darlene. Thank you. So before we start, let's just keep in mind the purpose of being on social media. Before we get started with any strategy whatsoever, we need to keep in mind that the purpose of your social media strategy is to engage people in what you offer, to encourage them to find out more by visiting your website, and then once on your website is to capture their details so that you can build a relationship with them. Relationships are very, very important. Now, here is our strategy. Here is the strategy that I teach all of my clients, and the one that I used myself when I built my B&B business from almost nothing to over 6 figures. And what I typically find is that most people are doing the bit on the left with the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other, and hardly anybody is doing the bit on the right. So I'm going to take you through this strategy and show you how to put all of these pieces in place so that you have the 5 things that you need to have in place before even beginning your social media journey. So first of all, you need to set yourself up for success, and we've got some statistics here that show the importance of not only being online but to be looking good online as well. And I see so many B&B owners and small hospitality owners really hiding out online and haven't really thought about their consistency of their brand online. So 23% of online American adults use Twitter, and there are more male than female users on Twitter, and that number is growing significantly. 71% of online American adults use Facebook, and 77% of those 71% are female users. So you can see that there's a difference in profile there from Twitter and Facebook. 26% of online American adults use Instagram, and there are more female than male users on Instagram. And then 28% of online American adults use Pinterest, and then 42 of those users are women. So it's important to know where your ideal guest is hanging out, where your audience is hanging out, and then to choose the platform that's going to work best for you rather than scattering yourself over every single platform that comes along. So let's talk about your brand consistency. When I look for you online, is it easy for me to know that it's you? So take a look at one of my clients here, Chris at the Parish House Inn in the Michigan area in the USA. Her website looks the same as her Facebook page, and it all looks the same as her Twitter profile. So when I look for you online, will I know it's you? Are you making it easy for me to know that it's you? Because if I can't easily distinguish you and know that it is you, then there's a break of trust there, and you definitely don't want to be breaking trust, particularly online. So check out your own brand consistency online to make sure that your website is looking very similar to your social media profile so that it's easy for people to know that it's you. Here's another one here, the Cat's Meow B&B in Texas. And I think we have one more as well. Yeah, so okay, yes. So the next thing that you need to do is to make sure that your business page on Facebook is linked to your personal profile. And again, I see a lot of people missing this step. Now, you can't link your website to your Facebook profile unless you go to the About section of your page. But what you can do is just under here on the left-hand side, underneath the profile picture on your profile, not your business page, you can link to your business page. So you need to set that one up first so that when people click, they look underneath your profile to see who you are, to see if they've got the right person when they're looking for you online, and they are looking for you. Then they can see that they can click through to your Facebook page directly from your profile. So make sure that you've got that set up properly first. Now, the next thing that you need to be thinking about is creating something of value that will be useful to your guests, and this is what I call an ethical bribe. People just won't sign up to your newsletter anymore. That used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. So instead you need to be giving them what they want, and I call this your ethical bribe because this is what you're going to give people in return for them giving you something, which is their name and email address, which is the purpose of your strategy. If you remember at the beginning, the purpose of social media is to get them off of social media onto your database by offering them something in return, and this is how you're going to do it. So your free guide to your area is just the perfect thing. Now you might think to yourself, oh well, there's lots of information out there about my area, I don't need to create anything because people can get that easily. Well, you're wrong in thinking that, because what they really want is your take on it. It's like having the gospel according to you, and when you publish something for the benefit of your guests, the perception of you in your guests' eyes will greatly increase. So when you've got your free guide written, you need to create a dedicated landing page on your website that has its own URL, not your home page. It has compelling reasons, which means stories, why they would want to enter their name and email address and give up their name and email address in exchange for your free guide, and then a nice big fat button to click that gives them clear instructions on what to do to get your free guide. And here's an example here. You can see there's a big fat button in the middle there that tells me what to do to get the free guide now. So you'll see that that replaces the sign up to the newsletter thing, which, as I say, just doesn't work anymore. In internet marketing, in marketing in general, but particularly internet marketing, which is what we're all dealing with now, whether we want to or not, things move on very quickly, and you must know what's working now in order not to stay in the past. So you've got your free guide, you've got your sign up box or your link to click on your landing page. You now need to link this landing page to your social media profiles. So you can see here I've linked it to mine. Sign up to find out how to get my free guide about the Champagne region, which is where I'm based. So people can sign up from here, from your social media profiles, to get your free guide. And that takes that click button there that says sign up, takes people directly to my landing page that I just showed you. So let's take a look at the results of this now. So when you do this, you'll get more new likes on your Facebook page, you'll get increased weekly reach for your posts, and you'll get increased new check-ins because people are feeling involved with your social media profile and they've got some information that you've created specifically for them. And here's the results from what I call my lead generation campaign. 2,433 people visited my website, 78 people signed up, and that's a total of 3%. So that's 78 new people in the last 90 days who haven't booked with me, but with whom I can build a great relationship and convert them into bookings when they're ready. And this is the beauty of this all happening on autopilot. This is all happening without me doing anything after I've set it up. So you might be asking yourself, well, what do I post? You know, what can I say? I don't have anything interesting to say. Well, you can say anything as long as it invokes the memories of people stay with you at your B&B, or how it's going to be for them when they do book with you. So lots of lovely pictures of what it's like at your B&B. If you blog as well, you can share your blog on your social media profiles via your social sharing plugin, and then have a link to your free guide again on your sign up page visible on your blog. And video is really, really powerful, particularly in this industry. If you can use video, then you'll be streets ahead of everyone else because everyone's afraid of it. But I can tell you that video is really, really powerful in this industry.
Thanks, Yvonne. Really good insight. It's always very helpful to our audience to hear from someone who specializes in the topic that we're discussing. And as you pointed out in one of your last slides, these tools and techniques that you have mastered actually turn out real results. And that's what people are looking for, right? So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And we've had questions come in from the audience throughout Yvonne's presentation, and we'll get to those in just a second. But first, let me just recap what Yvonne shared with us. First, Yvonne tells us, act like the authority that you are of your destination. Provide helpful insider tips that will make your experience memorable. Even a simple plan is better than no plan. Start with some research about where your guests are to determine where you should be. Select content that's appropriate for the platform. Instagram's all about moments in time. Pinterest is about inspiration, and Facebook is about hanging out with friends and family. And I can't stress this enough. If you want people to trust you online, have a consistent message, a voice, and a presence across all the channels and platforms so that your potential guests can build a confident expectation of what their stay with you will be like. And then link smartly to guide the guest to the exact place that you want them to land to take the action that you want them to take. And if you really want to develop an emotional relationship with your guests, use video everywhere. More than 75% of all internet users worldwide say that they watch video online. An Instagram video, in fact, creates twice the engagement as a photo alone does. And web pages with video are 53 times more likely to appear on the first page of Google results. So those are all really important reasons why, as Yvonne said, you should be looking at video if you're not already. So, as I said, today Yvonne gave us useful and practical guidance about how to develop a plan to tell your B&B story on social channels. I'd like to add to that by emphasizing the need to be consistent on every channel, and that includes your independent website, mobile, and third-party travel sites that you also may be listed on. And as Yvonne mentioned, this doesn't actually have to take up all your time because we know how busy you are, but as long as you have an easy-to-use system, you can make sure that travel shoppers find out everything you have to offer and help them understand what sets you apart from the competition. That's what Visly, our digital marketing system, does. It allows B&B innkeepers to create their own websites, mobile sites, Facebook apps, and digital brochures for third-party travel channels. We receive consistent feedback from B&B innkeepers that we work with about how easy and intuitive Visly is. You see, gone are the days of trying to figure out how to update photos on your website or keep your look current. Visly makes it easy so that you can spend less time managing your digital marketing and more time interacting with your guests. And for the first time ever, we're offering a 30-day free trial of Visly so you can see why other innkeepers love Visly. We'll follow up with you after this webinar today to share more about that, but you can also go to our website to learn more. So before we get to the questions, just a bit of a wrap-up. Stay tuned for next month's webinar, which is on December 3rd, and we're going to be talking about how online marketing has become democratized and is now available to everyone at a fraction of the cost it used to be, not just to those people with big marketing budgets. And as we said up front, we are recording this webinar, so we'll send you an email with a link to the recording, which you can share or listen to again at your leisure. So at this time, I am going to introduce questions from the audience. And Yvonne, as I said earlier, lots of great content from you. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you determine which social platforms you were going to be on, and how did you get started with the first ones?
Yes, of course, Darlene. The thing that I looked at, first of all, when I wanted to grow my business, I needed to grow my business, I took a look at myself first and what we had, myself and my family, what value we had. And so this is an exercise that I take my clients through as well. It's called How to Find Your Sweet Spot. So everything that you've ever done in your life has a value to it. Every job that you've had, every hobby that you've had, every group that you've ever belonged to there's a kind of thread running through your life that you don't actually notice it. And so when we took a look at what we had, you know, my husband and I have been in the drinks industry. I've been in the drinks industry, in the wine industry, since I was 19 years old. My husband's got an MBA in luxury brand management, and he worked for a well-known champagne company, Moët & Chandon. We've been living in Champagne. We have this kind of profile here that speaks to certain people. And everyone has this. It's not just, you know, somebody who's lived in Champagne. Everybody has this going on in their life, but it's very difficult for us to see it until somebody helps you to do it. So I took a look at what we had and the value that we had between us as a family. And then I looked for people who would appreciate that value. So it became less about the B&B itself. It became more about the value that we offer a certain type of traveller. So once I determined that we could help international people to discover the hidden gems of Champagne, I then went online and looked for those people to see where they hung out.
And how did you determine that? Is there some analytics? Does if you started with Facebook, do they have a tool where you can determine that?
Yes, you can just put something in the search bar. So if, for example, you just, by going through this process, you find out that perhaps you've always been interested in healthy living. So there are lots of groups on Facebook that are dedicated to raw food, vegan, vegetarianism, or fitness, or living some kind of Zen lifestyle. There are loads of groups. There are also groups on LinkedIn. It depends on the profile of the person that you want to attract, your ideal guests. And those guests must correspond with the value that you have. And it's really about kind of putting your stake in the ground and saying, I'm going to attract this type of guest because that's where I can add the most value. And that's different from what most small hospitality business owners are doing, which is, falling in love with a house, falling in love with an area, and spending a fortune on doing up the house and then opening the door. It's completely different.
And here's a question from Genevieve in the audience, and she wants to know, once guests are on property, do you engage them on social media? Do you tweet with them? How do you get them to leave reviews on TripAdvisor, that sort of thing?
Okay, so often I encourage them to check in on Facebook or wherever they're checking in, on Foursquare or wherever. And then to get them to leave a review, I have a system that sends them out an email after they've left, giving them a reason to leave a review. And the reason to leave a review is not so that I can look good. It's so that they can help other people to make a great decision. And you must enroll your guests in that process. So it's less about you and it's more about the guest experience for themselves and how they help others.
And that's a good point, Yvonne, because I think at the core, people do really want to be helpful and they want to share their experiences.
They do, and if you can facilitate that, they will be more than happy to help you.
Here's a big question. It comes from Simon. And Simon wants to hear your thoughts on, so how do you get guests to actually make a booking from your social site? Is there a magic formula you have, or do you just bring them along and eventually at some point they book with you? How does that all happen?
I think that it's harder to get people to book directly from your social site because it's harder to have a relationship. There's so many people online. There's so much noise going online. So my strategy is to get them off that site and onto your mailing list, where you can actually build a relationship with them through a system of emailing them and sending them information on a regular basis. So yes, you can get bookings directly from Facebook, you can get bookings directly from Twitter, but it's kind of random, and I prefer something that's a bit more consistent.
Excellent. Here's another question. It's quite a sophisticated question. It comes from Maria, and she's asking, do you build relationships using your social platforms with other vendors in the area and help each other by sending guests or customers to each other through your social platforms?
I do it offline mostly. I do it online, but I do it mostly offline. It may be just the area that I'm living in. You have to really think about how it's going to work for those people that you want to promote. I definitely love to promote the area. I love to help local vendors and businesses in my area. And in this particular area, not many of them are engaged online. So I would do it mostly offline. So people like that are included in my free guide. They're included in what I call my upsell process, which is something that I put in place to add value to my guests and also add value to my bottom line and add value to my community. So I love situations where I can help other people to get more clients, get more business that actually helps me and also helps the client, the guest as well. So that's my philosophy.
Excellent. And one last question, Yvonne, and this comes from Vicki in our audience, and she wants to know, how did you determine what your story was for your B&B, and does that story change over time?
Well, like I said, I have a process called How to Find Your Sweet Spot, and it is quite a deep process. So typically when I work with clients, they'll say, well, I don't have anything special. There's nothing special about me. But when we dig deeper, there's always something special to find.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that we've forgotten it, and it's buried under all of the noise and all of the life experiences. But the truth is that we all have this deep value inside of us. And so the process brings that out of people. So I allowed that process to emerge in me. And when I took a look at my life, and I took a look at, my husband's life and, where we've been and what we've done and why we're living here in Champagne, because there is a reason for everything. I believe there's a reason for everything. And so determining your story starts with taking a look at yourself. It starts with examining your own value, and then that comes through, because the only way that you can really present your value is for it to be authentically coming through you. So I'll give you an example here, if we've just got a few minutes.
Sure.
So I help international people to discover the hidden gems of Champagne, and that includes the region and the drink. And but this Champagne region, is not just known for the wine. It's not just known for that. It's actually a very important area during World War I. The region is called the Marne, and the Marne and the Somme, which is the region next door to me, were like the battlefields, the bloody battlefields of World War I. And there are cemeteries and museums and monuments dotted around all over this region. And there's a huge influx of tourists every year, of people who want to look for their loved ones' graves, who want to learn more about the First World War, and it's the kind of devotees, if you like, of the First World War. But last year there was the 100-year celebration of the beginning celebration, if you can call it, the 100th year anniversary of the start of World War I in 1914. And there was a lot going on in this region about the First World War and about all of those cemeteries and monuments. But you know what? I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it because I don't know anything about it. And it doesn't interest me. I would rather focus on the thing that I can do with authenticity and integrity, which is to help people discover the hidden gems of Champagne. And so you have to really dig deep inside of yourself to bring up that story, to bring forth that story of you, so that you can present your business and your B&B through the authentic version of you and your value.
I love that story, Yvonne, because it highlights a couple of things, particularly on social platforms. People want you to be real. And they're not interested in, stuff that is fabricated. They really want to understand what you're all about. And the other thing I think you point out, and as you demonstrate as the owner of bedandbreakfastcoach.com and with your own inn, is that when you talk about what you're interested in and what you're passionate about, that comes through loud and clear. And that in turn excites other people.
And that's what gets you, and that's what brings you more guests. It's what brings you more great reviews, and it's when you slip out of that authenticity and integrity to some extent, that's when things don't work.
Yes, exactly. Right on. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your thoughts with us today, Yvonne. And for those of you on the line, please feel free to reach out to Yvonne. You can see her email address and the URL of her bedandbreakfastcoach.com website. And as I said, we'll be following up with an email as well as a link to the recording and all this contact information. So you've been a fabulous guest panelist, Yvonne, and as I said, thank you very much for joining us. I know the audience really appreciated it.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you for the opportunity.
We'll talk to you guys soon. See you next time.